Welcome back to the Scare Value Podcast. Pete, today is an auspicious day.
Suspicious?
Auspicious.
No, see, I was doing the Firefly thing. I was Jane in that scenario.
What's Firefly? What day is it?
Uh-oh.
All right. This is our 100th episode. Part 1.
Is it now?
Yeah, technically no, but yes. It's
Okay.
our 100th numbered episode.
Well, it's a day of celebration then, I guess. What are we doing for this glorious day?
Clips.
Yeah, everybody loves a clip show.
Best of.
Is it the best of, though?
Best of what I found.
Oh, boy.
I went through 100 episodes. Nope, that's not true. 99 episodes. That bitch ain't one.
Is that Jay-Z? I know my references.
Yeah, from 25 years ago.
Yeah, but I knew it.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
although, I
That's
don't...
why you knew it, because it's 25 years old.
Yeah, that's just what I was about to say. It's a sad realization, but it's where we are in life.
Sometimes I see, like, I'll be watching TV and they'll be like, here's 15-time Grammy winner. And they'll pop up and I'm like, I've never heard of this person before in my life.
Well, for me, it was, I think the moment where I turned and I realized, oh yeah, I see where I am now in life, was, oh shit, it was a good movie too. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. They started, he was telling the story of what happened, 20 years ago, and they were playing Bust a Move in the background. And then they said 20 years ago, right on the screen. And I looked at it and I said, no, that's not right. That's the wrong. And I'm like, oh,
And that movie's 10 years old now.
that's it? I assumed it was like 20 years old itself.
Maybe.
I thought this reference was 20 years old.
Maybe it's pretty old.
It really is. It's a great movie, though.
Well, there's, you get these movies for 2 decades. People kept flashing back to the 80s because it was the time they can go kind of craziest with style and stuff. And now they're just like flashing back to the 90s and 2000s. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready for this. Because there's, first of all, nothing interesting happening in the 90s and 2000s.
No, I'll say the 90s had something going for it. But I don't know what the aughts had.
They're very nondescript to me.
Yeah, I think it was the internet what done it. And the content thing. There's so much of it that there is no more like identity, a shared identity type thing, because it's too dispersed. So you can't really do anything, right? Like there's
Nothing makes an impact.
right. It's so we just keep going back to the 80s. I think the 90s is probably the last time you can have like a
Can you imagine
No.
anything more hackneyed than doing like a special thing where you go back to the 1980s? So stupid.
no, unless it really happens.
Unless it really happens.
like that is a thing.
Nothing
And
you can do then. You can't avoid
no, it's just a thing. I remember I was there, man, twice.
it. What we're going to do today is the first half of 1/3 of our best of.
Jesus
Episode 100.
Christ, you're serious when you said you listened. Like, how long did it take you to sit there and go through? And it's all terrible, I got to assume.
And I had to edit out clips.
There is no best of. What is this? What is your criteria for this whole thing? What have you done?
I wanted to find clips that represented different types of episodes we do. So we're gonna go down a list because I love lists, and we're gonna
Sure
keep this
do.
very into each own section so we can discuss what the podcast is meant to be, how it fails to be that, and then listen to clips of it failing to be that.
How long is that going to take us?
You want to know how many clips there are, or how long the clips are?
Yeah, go
Three-
ahead.
3.5 hours of clips.
No,
Which is why
We-
it's taking 2.5 to 3 episodes.
for our 100th episode.
So our 100th episode is going to be part 1, episode 100,
Okay,
part 2, episode 101.
episode 100, part 2, 101, episode 101, 100, part 2. I got it. I dig it. That makes sense to me.
That's correct.
No,
But we're still going to have more left over because it's too long.
this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
So the last one's going to be a bonus episode, unnumbered.
No. What? All right. We can do this now. Just tell me whatever it is we talked about in your clip and we can nail it. We'll reenact it in like 3 minutes.
You want to do reenactments?
We can just do the whole thing. We don't have to do the clips. We can't make people. I mean, I really don't think anyone listens. So it's just my mother, and I know she's not going to listen to 3.5 hours. So we can just redo them real quick. Nice 40 minutes. Probably that'll put her to sleep, and she'll have a nice little night.
It would be interesting to see how close we could get to recreating any of those, because I feel like we've recreated the same conversation 100 times.
I feel like that's the only conversation I have. It just keeps getting, brought up in different order.
Well, let's begin our best of journey
Yay.
by talking about what this podcast started off trying to be.
I'm curious.
You don't know?
No.
So the website started.
I don't know why I'm here every week, Brian.
The website, you live here.
Right.
The website started in September of 2022.
What website?
It's scarevalue.com. That's a good point. I forget to plug it all the time. But I've mentioned this before on the podcast.
I wasn't plugging. I didn't know.
I don't plug it because it has nothing to do with this podcast.
And it's also not leaky.
It has. If you like this podcast, you probably would not like the website. If you like the website, you probably wouldn't like this podcast.
What's the website?
It's just actual movie reviews and content for critical thinking on horror films. Whereas this is just two fucking idiots.
Are you kidding me? This is like deep thoughts from way down in the well of genius, and your in-depth analysis of the people and the characters and the acting of Nick Cage.
You'd be hard pressed to find two things coming from one source that are as different about the same subject as the podcast and the website are.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it. Honestly, I still have never listened to an episode.
We've gotten all the way through, not even to the podcast yet. The website started in September 2022, and the podcast was intended to start in October of 2022. I had all the equipment purchased, had it all set up in your basement, and realized I didn't have the right cords.
I remember that.
That's right. And 6 months later, we got around to getting the right cords and getting the podcast off the ground.
That's pretty good speed. We're really chugging along here.
We haven't taken a week off since, so that's actually impressive.
I'm impressed. That's probably the longest I've ever been committed to anything. I guess it helps that it is my house that you keep showing up at.
You've been married for 15 years.
It's been that long already?
I think that's slightly longer than 2 years.
That's your math.
Now, when the podcast began, we didn't really have an idea of what we were doing. I would say would be a kind way to say it.
And maybe you.
Oh, you knew what you were doing?
I always know what I'm doing.
The thing that I kept hearing from anyone who listened to it was, this needs a format. That was a lot of the talk was, this needs a format. You can't just go down into the basement, sit there for an hour and talk about nonsense.
That's what a podcast is, isn't it?
Now, you may remember this. You play off like you don't. The actual behind the scenes purpose of doing it that way was that I wanted the podcast to feel like a conversation that we just have standing in your garage smoking cigars, which is the conversation we've been having for 30 years, mostly without the cigars. But I wanted people to listen to it and be like, this is a part of a conversation that I feel like I'm a part of. I feel like they talk the way I talk to my friends, or the way that I wish people would engage with me about horror movies and stuff. I think it is that. So that's why I like the podcast. I don't know that it's for everyone, but it's for me.
I'm good. So, well, that makes sense. So you've made this entire thing and me, I guess I've been here for you and my mother.
We made this entire thing because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and we're never going to be as knowledgeable as the ones that attack these movies in a way that they're like, I did all this research. I'm not doing fucking research 52 times a week. I got to rate, I rate 5 reviews a week for movies. I'm not going to sit here and, buckle down on the whys and hows of things. I know what I think of the movies we watch, and I like discussing it like a normal person, not as a research analyst. And so we're never going to be on that market ever.
Phew.
And we're not smart enough to be in the funny people column. You know what I mean? We're not sitting here crafting jokes and ideas. That's just not what this is ever going to be. There's no bits. It sounds like there's bits. It's just two idiots.
Agreed.
So the idea of the podcast was just you're at someone's house and they're talking about something and you think it's vaguely interesting. That's the whole idea.
And you've nailed it?
I don't know. Nobody else seems to think it's interesting, but I like it.
Well, then you've nailed it.
Yeah, so of the first 27 episodes of this podcast, 1/3 of them were what I labeled nonsense episodes, where we sat down here without anything kind of a plan. I show up at your house, knock on the door, and say, what are we doing today? That's how the origins of the podcast kind of began.
And that was the first 27?
9 of the first 27 episodes.
How are they divided up? Why did you do 27?
Well, we have if you could wait, we're going to get to that. But if you want the breakdown, I can give you the breakdown.
Yeah, just an overview.
There are 10 of the 100 episodes we've done, including this one and next week's. 10 of the 100 episodes we've done are nonsense episodes where we didn't have a plan when we started.
Okay.
And we did 9 of the first 27 were like that. So that is the early days of the podcast were a lot of not knowing what we were doing. We've only gone back to that idea once since then. And it was recently when you didn't watch a movie and we had to think of something to do and scramble. And we talked about the Halloween Horror Nights and the film festival I went to.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first time since episode 27 that we actually had an episode where we didn't have where I got here and we had to come up with a plan.
Okay. I'm bringing in ringers for next time's Halloween Horror Nights because I cannot handle the responsibilities of hosting.
Well, that means 1/10 of the episodes we've done have been no plan.
Okay. I like those odds.
But it's gotten way more planned out since then. 43 of the episodes have been talking about an individual movie. Basic, regular episodes. We watched Thanksgiving. We sat here and talked about Thanksgiving.
Okay.
That's the easiest one to do.
I like that one with more people.
And we'll get to that because it's one of the points of contention we have with each other. We've done 9 episodes where we talk about a movie series because a new entry is coming out.
I like those.
They're more freeform, so
Yeah.
I like them too. But you run out of... You can't... There's not always a new movie coming out that's like, oh, good, there's a whole series to talk about.
There's only, you've only got so many.
Since we started the podcast, there's been no new Halloweens, no new Nightmare on Elm Streets, no new Friday the 13th, so we haven't done those. But we had early ones. Our first ever episode was one of these. We talked about the Scream series because Scream 6 was coming out.
That's right. I think we went to the theater and did we do a recording or something for that one?
Yeah, but it doesn't count because it's a bonus episode. Like I said, it's not really 100 episodes. Now, 19 of our episodes have been watch-alongs, and I love watch-alongs. You don't like them as much. I love watch-alongs.
I don't dislike. I just don't get them.
Yeah, but I think if you ever listen to the podcast, you'd understand why they're better.
I'm just going to take your word for it.
And 19 of our episodes have been what I call annual episodes. So every year we do the Scare Value Awards, done that twice. Every year we do the top 10 movies of the year, done that twice. Every year we do a Christmas episode, done that twice. Our newest one, we started doing the Giving Thanks. We'll do that every year. So there's 19 episodes we've done, including this 100th episode. This is going this because we'll do a 200th episode one day. Every one of those things that happens every year, the Foreign Correspondence Awards, annual episodes. So that's kind of the breakdown of the 100 episodes.
Okay. Why don't we do them more?
What,
We've only done them twice. Why don't we do more of them if they're good?
the
episode.
annual ones? Yeah, I can't think of a reason. I mean, I don't want to let some secrets slip, but I would say that anybody who's looking for maybe an extra awards episode should pay attention to some upcoming episodes in March because I think that maybe there'll be a 1986 Scare Value Awards because someone was pestering me.
Well, I don't understand why there wasn't.
Well, there will be.
All right. I'm ready. I'm so ready.
So the first thing we're going to cover is a clip from a nondescript but nonsense episode. An episode that comes from 2 people who had no plan when they sat down.
So this is the early one of the 9 early nonsense episodes.
Pete, this is episode 3 from March 22nd, 2023.
Do these have titles or just numbers?
They do have titles. Most of them, 43 of them, are just the name of the movie. And then the year the movie came out, this one was called Oscar winner Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
And Pete, this will shock you. Prepare to be shocked.
I'm sitting. I'm waiting.
I have a minor shock and a major shock. Which one would you like first?
Both at the same time. Just say them quickly together.
I mean, I can technically edit that together and have these overlap if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that.
Then can you edit?
I've edited 3.5 hours of audio already. This was the episode where you first posited that a muscular young Bob Hoskins would make a great Wolverine.
Dude, I don't know if I'm pretty sure I told you. I don't know if I told you on air, but there's another one out there. Like somebody else, a kid, was looking it up the other week.
She sent me a link.
Yeah. Link. I don't know why that was funny to me. Bob Hoskins. I think Bob Evans sausages, so Bob Evans links. You see what my brain just did there?
It's perfect. It's a perfect segue into the nonsense episode, Pete. Well, you want the major shock version?
All right, hit me. Shock me.
Episode 3, the third episode of this podcast, was the first appearance of No, the Thing is Ben Grimm.
He is Ben Grimm.
A thing that I've tried to eradicate for several weeks
You
now.
hate it so much.
I'm the one who did it.
Are you really?
I was flabbergasted when I edited this thing together.
Why do you hate it so much? It's yours. It's your creation.
First
It's
of all,
genius.
because apparently we've been doing it for 97 fucking episodes.
It's Brian, you've been so against it that I'm starting to edit. Earlier, you said there are two
know.
things, and I sat there and I'm like, there are two things. There are John Carpenter's thing, and there's Ben Grimm the thing.
If you remember, there was a long stretch where we kept referring to the thing as Alicia Master's boyfriend.
Oh, that's right. It's also true.
But this was the actual first appearance of. You're going to hear it in this clip. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to the nonsense. And here is the clips from March 22nd, 2023. Oscar winner Laurie Strode. I watched a movie called Holy Shit that was really good. It's about a man stuck in a porta potty as there's
So it's a play.
surrounded by dynamite that's about to go off, and he's about to be buried alive or killed by it, and he has to figure out a way to get out, and he's trapped. And it was really good.
It's a horror film?
It's one of those horror adjacent.
So like Phone Booth with Colin Farrell? Is that the name of it?
That is a movie that starred Colin Farrell.
And he was stuck in a
I
phone
can't
booth.
speak to how similar they are since I haven't seen Phone Booth.
It was a guy, he was stuck in a phone booth, and I think he was going to get shot if he moved or something. I don't
Pete,
know.
would it surprise you to learn that it was the third movie I've seen of a man stuck in a toilet?
Well, I guess it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm a little surprised there was.
Is that the
three
most
movies.
unexpected subgenre of film? I saw the movie Glorious that's on Shudder. There's a review for that also on scarevalue.com. That is a guy stuck in a rest station bathroom, and there's some kind of evil god deity in one of the stalls that needs him to do some bidding for him. And J.K. Simmons voices the demon, and it's really good.
Okay.
And there's a movie called Stalled that I saw years ago of a guy stuck inside of a bathroom, in a public bathroom, in a toilet, because there's a zombie apocalypse breaking out in the bathroom around him.
So he's just in the stall.
He's in that's why it's called Stalled.
How long are these movies?
90, tight
So
90s.
Glorious and Stall?
Glorious, Stalled, and
Stalled.
Holy Shit. 3 trapped in a bathroom. And I think Holy Shit might have been the best one. If anybody knows a fourth trapped in the bathroom movie, it's like
Call it
I'd
in.
say I can't imagine there is one, but how are there 3? I think I wrote the words in the review. This one ups the stakes by trapping him in a porta potty. Because I've seen 3 of these, and they're all good.
I saw that Bob Hoskins, as a younger man, could have been a good Wolverine. He's short and he's hairy.
He's always fat, though.
Eh.
I mean, not anymore.
Well, he was like stocky, muscular stocky.
Was he, though?
I don't know. Go look on the internet. I think you'll be surprised at how muscular young Bob Hoskins was.
I mean, those words are already in my safe searches, so it shouldn't take me too long to look it up.
All right, then you'll see what
Muscular
I'm
young
talking-
Bob Hoskins. Who doesn't look for that every? Yeah.
Well,
I start typing M, and it pops right up. Muscular young Bob Hoskins.
I didn't put those words into Google, but I did happen to see some pictures of him, so I know this. I don't know why I did, but
yeah,
I'm
I'm
just
going to need
saying.
to know the words you did put into Google.
Which I think we talked about how much I enjoyed the remake
Yeah,
of Evil Dead,
which took you 10 years. to
10
watch.
years. So, but I'm on board. They look genuinely scary, so it's super fun.
I tried for 10 years to get you to watch the movie.
I watched it, and like I told you, I am shocked that I was actually scared by a horror film. Like something scared me. Like, this is creepy. This is really creepy.
Again,
I'm having
In
fun.
2013, I began to tell you, I think you're really going to like this movie.
Yeah.
And it took you 10 years
I got there.
of having it
Oh, yeah, I know.
to decide, maybe I'll believe him. Or did you turn it on and be like, I doubt it?
Hey, but I watched the David Cross one like right away. You told
Yep.
me about that a week ago, I think.
Yep. You got to watch those orphan movies you keep telling me you're going to watch.
That and the Terrifiers. Well, the thing is, I got to wait for the kids to be away because I can't watch them with the kids. And
No,
I fall asleep
no,
at like
no,
8 o'clock.
The Thing is Ben Grimm.
He is. Okay.
Still, it's Lawrence Fishburne from one of the greatest movies of all time, Searching for Bobby Fischer.
That is a good movie.
Yeah.
Did that win any Oscars?
No.
Oh, that makes me sad.
The director wrote Schindler's List, which I believe he won an Oscar for. He didn't write the book, but he wrote the screenplay.
I have never seen Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Would that count as a horror film?
it's pretty horrific.
That's what I mean. So does that count?
I wouldn't put it on the site because it's not really. One thing about horror
I think
is
you
when
should review that movie for the
one
make
thing
a
about
bold
horror is
statement.
when bad things are happening in horror, they're usually for fun.
It's fun to watch people get murdered.
Not in that context.
So context matters.
It is in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
There's a difference between horrific and horror.
I think you need to review Schindler's List
Yeah.
for Scarevalue.
5 stars. 5 out of 5. It's great.
5 out of 5. Man, I really cared about the characters. Good job drawing me in.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's the same year Jurassic Park came out. This dude gave us like Steven Spielberg goes out and he's like, I'm going to give
Schindler's
you
List and the original Jurassic Park?
Yeah. I'm going to give you
okay.
one of the all-time great creature features. Fun, popcorn eating, summer blockbuster. And also,
The scariest thing you've ever seen.
yeah, it's horrible.
Okay.
It's not a movie you can watch twice.
I didn't watch it once.
That's true.
Not going. Kitty, think was trying to get me to watch it a while ago. I'm like, why am I going to watch that?
Was she going to watch it for a second time?
I think so.
What a psychopath.
It sounds sad, and I get it.
Oh, does it sound sad?
It does sound a little sad.
I got a review coming out for Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
Part 2.
No, it would be part 5. It's not in the title, but Friday the 13th, A New
How many
Beginning.
Friday the 13th are there in total?
12 because they can't get their shit together. The most obvious box office winner of all time, Friday the 13th, part 13, can't get it done. Stuff's starting to get possibly made soon in the Jason canon again for the first time because they've
They have a
settled some
Jason
lawsuits.
cannon that shoots Jasons at the enemy? Ooh.
He shoots him into space.
I want to...
Let me explain
boy.
to you the plot of Friday the
Oh,
13th,
boy.
A New Beginning. Jason Voorhees has died at the end of 4. Corey Feldman hacked him apart.
Good for Corey Feldman.
Yes. Now, Corey Feldman is all grown up, and because of the trauma surrounding his life, he's in a halfway house with a bunch of other at-risk youth. Suddenly, Jason Voorhees seemingly comes back and starts killing everyone. But we find out in the end, it's not Jason Voorhees. It's Roy the paramedic.
Is he from another movie? Or
He is from this movie. He is picking up one of the dead bodies from an accident at the halfway house where a very annoying person gets chopped with an axe by one of the other at-risk youths. And they take this man, Vic, who killed the kid, off to jail. And Royce, it's Roy's son, we learn later, somehow. And he snaps and starts killing everybody. Now, Pete, does he kill the only person that deserves it in this scenario, Vic? No, we never see Vic again. He kills some greasers that are out by the road, some hillbillies, and a bunch of the people at the halfway house.
So he was a Soch.
He was a sociopath, yeah.
Solid.
Yep, thank you. We can end there. No, we're not getting better than that.
Leave him on high. We're just going downhill. Push the end button.
We're not getting better than that one. So where were we at? Yeah, Michelle Yeoh won an Oscar.
She was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Should have won one. I learned during that Oscar telecast, she has no formal martial arts training. And it made me think she should have dozens of Oscars.
Really?
Because I've never believed anything an actor has done more than that Michelle Yeoh has martial arts training. The PA announcer, when you win, says like a 1 or 2 line thing about your career, how many times you've
Just
been nominated.
casually said, yeah, she doesn't do this.
Jamie
now.
Lee Curtis's was, she made her film debut in 1978's Halloween, and this year produced the final chapter of Halloween, which is a lie, because it's the last one she'll be in, but it's not the last Halloween,
No,
obviously.
they're going to keep that one.
But that was, her shout-out was Halloween, and Michelle Yeoh's was no form of martial arts training, and I was stunned.
Why did they choose to lead that?
Because it's the most impressive thing I've ever
That's
heard.
all right. Fair enough. All the Oscars.
Because we're talking about it.
All right. It is a conversation.
Now, I
starter.
wish that when Brendan Fraser had won, they would have also said that he had no form of martial arts training. I felt like I needed further updates.
on everyone's status
Yeah.
vis-a-vis martial arts
Like,
schooling.
what belt are you?
What belt are you?
Yeah.
I have a yellow belt that I got because I think they gave it to you if you've just gone there for a certain amount of time. They're like, here you go, kid.
That's the I paid my due.
I paid, yeah, no, that's
paid
the
the
white
dues.
belt. No, the white belt's free. That's
Oh.
just if you come for their usual training, but then you get your yellow belt when you've paid your dues.
Wow.
So,
You get them for times arrived.
can you guess why I took martial arts as a child?
I'm going to say because you watched Karate Kid.
Ninja Turtles.
Ah, so close.
And then I found out you don't live in sewers and fight the Foot Clan or other mutant animals. So
Well, did you get the green belt?
No.
You like the more absurd it got as it went on.
I like absurdity as a rule, like in
Sure.
anything, in movies, and that's why I think I liked Everything
Yeah.
Everywhere All at Once so much. I'm like, this makes sense to me.
Is
Like,
it the only? I haven't seen all of the Oscar winners. I think it's the only one with a dildo fight in the hallway, and butt plug fights later. I haven't seen Cimarron though from 1940s. That might have
Again,
had one.
I've never seen Schindler's List.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I know it
that's
won an
that's
Oscar.
famously the butt plug is the one thing he left in color. Yeah, is that Tim Allen?
I think it might be.
Ooh.
I watched the Home Improvement episode not too long ago.
Then you've seen them all.
I've seen them all.
That I remember.
that Wilson. I was really sad when Tom Hanks had to let him go on that raft.
All right, that's it for this week. Go to scarevalue.com, Twitter, Scare Value, Facebook, Scare Value, Pinterest. It might be something else, but it's probably Scare Value. I don't even know how to use Pinterest. Do you know what Pinterest is? Oh, those were some good clips, Pete.
They were so good. Ha 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 ha. This was the first time I've ever listened to a clip.
That's true, actually.
This of anything ever.
So that's what nonsense is. That's two people that had no plan walking in.
Yeah, it was your fault.
It wasn't me.
Shaggy defense.
I don't know when that first happened, but it happened a lot. It happens every episode. That one I don't get tired of.
No, that's not fair. Hey, that's a good point.
Now, we'll move on to our
What?
more regular episodes, the most prolific episode we do, the regular We Watched a Movie.
Okay.
I wonder how many movies you can remember that we covered on this podcast.
None.
Let me read some to
Go.
you and see if you remember them.
Okay.
Scream 6.
No, kinda. Was it alone or was it part of the series where we did all the screams?
We did an episode on Scream 6. There's 43. It's going to take a long time if you don't answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I supposed to answer? I don't remember.
Do you remember doing it?
No.
Little Monsters with Kitty.
Kinda.
Evil Dead Rise. Not the watch along.
Oh. We did a watch along?
Oh, boy.
No.
You're Next.
Yeah, because I ended up liking that movie later.
Bride of the Killer Pinata. A movie I'm pretty sure has still not come out.
I think that movie's great. I remember that one because I'm waiting for it.
Deadstream.
I remember Deadstream.
Jaws.
I do remember Jaws because there was a murder involved that we solved.
Oh, we'll get to that. Ready or Not.
We covered it?
Freddy versus Jason.
I do remember that.
Gremlins.
Yes.
Fresh.
Oh, yeah, Fresh.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's no way you forgot that one.
The what now?
Talk to Me.
Yep. All right. This is a fun game we're playing here.
Totally Killer.
Which one was that one?
Sleepaway Camp.
I remember Sleepaway.
Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Godzilla.
Yes.
Bride of
Wait,
Chucky?
What Godzilla?
The original.
Kinda.
Bride of Chucky.
Nope.
Suitable Flesh.
Oh, yeah.
Valentine.
Nope.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Nope.
Nope.
Yep.
Leprechaun.
Yes.
Ghostbusters.
Nope.
The time we watched the wrong Hell House movies and did both of them.
Oh, the Hell House LLC?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were good. I like that. I'm surprised that's the first found footage I like. I think.
Deadstream.
Oh, yeah, I like that one too.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The episode Kitty will not listen to.
No, she won't. But that movie, you've convinced me 100%. That movie is tight.
Lisa Frankenstein.
Yes.
The Stranger.
Who's the actress? I don't remember the Strangers.
The actress was. I don't remember her name.
Because she was in something else too, and I liked her in that. Yeah, it's going to bug you now, just like it's bugging me.
She's good in everything but that Ant-Man movie. Alien.
Yeah.
The Crow.
Oh, yeah. Stupid Time.
River and Beyond the Infinite
Yes,
Kingdoms.
I like those two movies.
Chopping Mall, as you would know it, is Killbots.
Oh, yeah. Killbots is great.
April Fool's Day.
Yes.
Critters.
Yes.
Aliens.
Yes.
Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, yeah.
I would have saved that for the watch along to Ferris Bueller if I was you, but that's all right. The Fly.
The Fliggity Fly. Yes.
Night of the Creeps.
Yup.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
That is a classic.
Smile.
Yeah, that was recently, right?
Yes, that's how time works. I'm moving forward in time. Godzilla 1998.
I really don't remember that one.
Night of the Comet.
Yes.
And Speak No Evil and its remake, Speak No Evil.
Yes.
You have a good memory.
Thank you.
You remembered some of them. So,
Yeah, it got easier the longer we went on.
Did it?
Kinda. I felt like I knew more.
Yeah, they're more recent. I feel like once you hit the 86 year, you're like, oh, I remember all these because the 86 year was the best movie.
It was weird.
How good those movies were?
No, yeah, that too. But just, being stuck in 1986. And it wasn't stuck for a while.
Well, we're going to get to that too in the bonus episode, most likely, when I edit this together. So let's listen to some clips from Jaws.
Oh, so these are just, Now, you don't have any kind of ranking for this best of.
I have a format, which is what everyone cried for me to have. And we're going to go through the first half is going to be the types of episodes we do, so we can just get a little flavor in there of clips of what you'd hear if you listen to those episodes. And then we have some more podcast-specific things that have come up in the second half.
All right. Well, then I am going to give that last set of clips a 8.
Ooh, nice.
And then I'll let you know what
banana.
this. I'll let you know what this next one is.
Well, this is from August 2nd, 2023, and it's us talking about Jaws. Now, I don't believe you're going to hear anything about the Joe Hill murder in this clip because we're going to get to that in part 2 of the 100th episode. So let's sit back and listen to some idiots talking about Jaws. That's right, we're doing Jaws. Do you know why we're doing Jaws, Pete?
I don't. Why are we doing this? Why are we watching Jaws?
Because Meg 2 comes out.
I saw
on
the trailer
Friday.
for Meg 2, and it looked really
Yeah.
good.
And I thought, what a perfect time to do the Meg. But I don't like the Meg. So I thought, what a better time to do Jaws.
There's nothing. You're not wrong. Because Meg was, I never made it through the first one. So my recollection of that, which is weird because, part 2 looks really good. But
We've already talked about the Meg more than I hoped to. I saw Haunted Mansion.
did you really? How was it?
It's not good.
Wasn't there another Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy?
Yes. I think this one is probably around the same quality. This movie, I couldn't figure out who it was for. It can't be scary because it wants to be for kids, but it's also rated PG-13, so it's telling kids that they have to get the parent permission anyway. And it's not funny for kids or adults. And the only thing that really worked was the main character's emotional story that kids won't be interested in, and it's 2 hours long. So I don't know who it's for, but I will say that I did sit in a 4DX theater and watch it with the water effects and the lightning effects and the smoke effects and the moving seat effects, and I almost cried because the storyline worked so well that I literally had a lump in my throat, looked around the moving theater and thought, I can't cry at Haunted Mansion. It worked though, Pete.
What an odd review for Haunted Mansion. I don't even know who's in this version of it.
Well, a lot of people are in it.
Tiffany Haddish, I think
She
is the
is.
name.
Rosario Dawson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Danny DeVito. Lakeith Stanfield is the star of it. He's from Atlanta, and
I've never
you'd
seen
know
it.
him from a bunch of movies. He's so good in it, in a completely different movie. Than somehow, with all of the ghost effects and noise and everything else that's going on around him, he manages to make his storyline of his recently deceased wife work so well that in the end, it's a story about him letting go, and it's actually really emotional, as ridiculous ghosts and Jared Leto is the bad guy.
Jared Leto's in it?
Yes, but he's playing it like a skeleton, and it's using a voice. You can't tell it's him, except for like newspaper clippings and paintings. You wouldn't even know Jared Leto's in this movie, but for some reason he got a paycheck for it. That's going to pay off. But I've sat in the theater at the emotional resolution of the movie, and I thought, you're not going to cry at Haunted Mansion.
I'm sure there's movies like that for me where there's some emotional payoff where it's the worst piece of garbage movie you've ever seen, but there it is.
I would like you to recap the plot of Jaws. My
That's
first
fine.
of two highlights of
But
it.
I know this movie.
right.
Shark shows up.
Yeah.
Shark eats folk.
Yep.
Cool sea captain kind of kills the shark. And then this sheriff who is, I read the book too. Sheriff ends up blowing him up with a tank of propane or some such thing. Awesome movie.
No, this
Fun
is the
times.
actual highlight of my thing.
All right, what's the highlight? Oh, if
Can
you want to
you-
throw some acts at me, I bet you I can nail
Name
the acts.
The act breaks.
Here
Did
we
you
go.
look this up?
No, I didn't. I was just thinking about it because everyone who comes on this podcast is like, what's the act break? I found it. Ready? Shark eats a bunch of folk on the beach.
That's not an act break. That's what happens in the first act.
Yeah, that's act one. Oh, you want me to name the specific parts?
There are two
Get out of
extremely specific parts in Jaws. Of all the movies we watched, there are two specific moments that break us into the next act.
All right. So they get on the boat and they go hunting the shark. That's part 2. That's the act break.
You think the act break of the movie starts 45 minutes left of the movie?
Yeah.
That's the end of the first act.
Yes.
Okay. Where does the second act?
Second
end?
one is when
Because you might accidentally get the second one right.
the
based on where
second
you
one
started.
is when the final shark attack, when they're on the boat and it's
wouldn't
going
be-
down.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
think that's the climax
Why wouldn't I think that's the climax?
because you've decided it's the beginning of Act 3.
It is. It's right when the boat gets disabled. That's Act 3.
You're very close on that one.
That's what I'm sticking with, and I'm right.
The first act.
All right, you tell me what you think the act breaks
I don't have
up.
to tell you what I think. I can tell you what's real.
No, tell me what you think.
The first act ends when Mrs. Kintner slaps Brody.
Wait, hey, quick aside. All of these people, right? Like Mrs. Kittner there,
Yeah.
she has what? Maybe a 10-year-old kid who gets eaten?
Yeah.
She looked like she was 70,
Well,
right?
she died 2 years ago at the age of 91. So if we do some math, she would have been in her late 40s. That's perfectly fine.
Well, I think she looked
Sure.
rough.
Sure.
There were a lot of people who looked super old, and then they're having kids
But-
around my age.
But
But
Pete, I have something
People
to tell
just-
you about how you look. And you're very Mrs. Kintner-esque, and you have a 10-year-old. So
Look
I don't know
here.
I don't know where you were going with this, but it didn't end up where you thought. His den is decorated with the maws of sharks
Oh, yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
So you should know, but they're desperate. They don't know what they're on the boat with until he tells the story of the USS Indianapolis. At which point they should have just gotten off and swam.
yeah, it's fair because there's that moment when Brody's trying to call the radio, like call back to shore, and then
Yes. He destroys the radio,
But
and he destroys the engine.
it cuts right to Quint, and he's there with that bat, and you're like, "Holy shit, this is a
There's-
skull-splitting moment."
Because he's not the star of the movie, he's not the main character, you don't know that he's going to be this character until it's too late, which makes the movie fantastic. Because now they're just fucked. They don't realize they're in this guy's story until it's too late and they're in the middle of the ocean.
That they're just side characters. All right,
They don't realize it. And that's what I really love about the movie.
I always assume that when they show after they blow up Jaws and he's sinking to the bottom of the
Oh,
ocean.
spoiler.
Oh, yeah, spoiler. Sorry, everybody. I'm bad at that.
Boy, that's probably going to make one of his descendants mad, and they're probably going to stalk Ellen Brody around years later. And
Doesn't that
Shh,
happen?
That's
Well,
part 4.
You did said in 1975 Jaws came, so we know he has descendants.
That's great.
So that is the plot, right?
Yeah, go
like that is the plot. He chases like a shark chases down Brody's wife. To
Yep.
where
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
She knows they're after her family because of what they did.
Well, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Oh, and that was part 3, huh?
That's part 4.
Part 4. Is
Part
that the one
3
that-
is like a marine theme park.
Which one had Michael Caine where he
That's
clearly
4.
said, "I'm just here for the paycheck"?
That's 4.
And I think he said that in interviews and such.
But how did he say it, Pete? Can you give me your Michael Caine impression?
Oh, Batman, I think that we did this movie just for the money. Pip pip cheerio.
Oh, that's good.
Thanks.
It's definitely British because British people say pip pip cheerio.
That's right. That's how I know it was Michael Caine.
Or Dick Van Dyke,
Oh,
the best Brit of all time.
oh man, I haven't seen that movie since the kids were little, and boy, is it something.
It is offensive to British people to have Dick Van Dyke up there doing that.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cherry. That's all I remember.
He is the most Cockney accent
Oh.
of all. Like he's mocking them.
I grew up thinking that's how British people sound.
I'll tell you another thing. Like when I found out that James Marsters, who played Spike on Buffy, wasn't British, and I heard him talking his regular thing, I had a real Dick Van Dyke moment where I was like, "He's not British. It was a perfect accent."
I'm still not sure that he's not.
He's in a movie with Julie Andrews, who sounds like a normal British person, and then he's doing that, and I'm just like, sounds the same to
Okay,
me.
stop for a minute. I got to stop. I feel a normal British person is wrong. It's just a normal person with a British accent. Dick
Right.
Van Dyke sounds like a nut job with, I don't know,
know.
what he's trying to do.
But when I'm watching the movie as a child, they both sound right to me.
Yeah.
It's like these people exist in the same town. They're clearly from the same neighborhood.
For some reason, the over-the-top one was the one I just took to be that's the normal one.
Yeah.
That's how people should be.
God, how do you get away with that? That's like doing blackface for Brits. Why is the book called Jaws? I know the movie's called Jaws because the book's called Jaws, so they get off the hook. Why is the book called Jaws?
It was a sequel. Was it Moonraker?
It was a sequel to Jaw.
It was a sequel to Jaw. You're very happy with that one.
I don't think I've ever been happier about anything in my life. Jaws, that crazy shark.
The whole time I kept expecting him to attack James Bond. He never did. Did I make that joke?
You've made that joke in the watch along for Jaws, the movie Jaws, and I think somehow in like an episode that had nothing to do with Jaws.
Why? Why? Did you edit me saying the same thing over and over again? Because I feel that would be a real easy reach.
Pete, I'm never editing audio again. I'm telling you how long this took. I'm done with it forever. But I like doing they're the simplest ones to do. There's no way around it. It's just, you can focus on one movie, and then usually we just drift off into nonsense, but guided nonsense, because you can always have something to anchor you back. Whereas the nonsense episodes, you just get lost upstream without a paddle. Nothing to hold on to. With this, like, yeah, we can talk about Leprechaun, get lost for a half an hour and be like, oh yeah, Leprechaun.
Was there a movie? Oh, Without a Paddle. That was the name of the movie, starring Seth
Green,
Green.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, and there was
Jack Shepherd, maybe?
Yep. That was it. There were other people too.
And a third guy.
There was probably Breckenmeyer. He was
That
around
seemed
back
like
then.
Breckenmeyer.
He was always around. I liked him. Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. I don't have an update for you, so it's good news. I didn't.
You are the harbinger of death in my personal world.
That might be something you might expect to see clips of later. You will not, because I can't go through every episode and find the moment where I talked about somebody dying.
How many times you killed somebody?
It's impossible to do. It's happened more than 100 times. Now, the first ever episode, like I said, was us talking about the Scream franchise ahead of the release of Scream 6. I like doing those episodes because we watch 3 or 4 movies, in that case 5 movies, and you can just sit back and make your way through what you remember of each one. So it has a nice, easy flow to it.
And if there's not a lot to say, you can just
Move on to the next one.
Yeah, just go. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we've done the Scream franchise. We did the Evil Dead franchise ahead of Evil Dead Rise. We did a Stephen King episode, which I think we'll do another one at some point.
What did we do for Stephen King?
We just talked about his most popular movies, so I think that we can go through and do his less popular movies, because we've all seen them all. You know,
Yeah.
we did an Insidious one ahead of the Insidious: The Red Door.
I remember that. I still have not seen The Red Door.
We did the 3 Stuart Gordon, Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs, H.P. Lovecraft movies. Quite the quintuplet there.
I recently saw the one, what is it? Onyx the Fortuitous and the
Talisman of Silver.
Yeah. It's got the Crampton and the Combs.
It does. And we did one for the Monsterverse ahead of Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. We did one for A Quiet Place with Ken before Quiet Place Day 1. We did one for X and Pearl before Maxine came out. And we did them for Terrifier 1 and 2 ahead of Terrifier 3.
Those movies have really grown on me.
I wish that we could do more of those kinds of episodes, but like I said, not many franchise, like when the next Scream comes out, you can't just go back and do, you can, but we're not just going to go back and do, let's talk about the first 6 Screams.
I'll tie them together.
Although we could. That first episode is completely unlistenable.
I feel like we could probably do that for anything in the first, what'd you say, 70 episodes? We can redo them.
I think that's true.
I will guarantee.
I think we will at some point do some of
I
them.
guarantee you right now, it'll probably be about 50% the same conversation with the same exact words
If we were to do
in the same order.
If we were to do the Evil Dead one again, it would be the exact same conversation, including forgetting for most of the episode that we had met Bruce Campbell and then telling that story, which is
forget
which is
that
great
a
story.
lot.
A great story you will not hear on this best of, because I took clips from a different thing. I took clips from episode 56, March 27th, 2024. Us talking about my man Rodan in the Monsterverse.
Yeah, Rodan. Hey, I didn't rank that last set of clips, did I? Rectangle.
Rectangle bananas?
Rectangle bananas.
What do you remember about the Monsterverse, Pete?
What is it? What's the American one? New Line? Who's doing them in the U.S.?
I don't know why that's relevant to
Is that
any
the
of this.
Monsterverse?
Legendary?
Well, yeah, Legendary. Is that the Monsterverse? Mm-hmm. Okay, I was just making sure. What do I remember about it?
What do you remember about the Monsterverse?
I remember I liked Skull Island.
Yeah.
I remember being very excited that Godzilla had the plasma breath again, or the atomic breath, and you got to see his spines light up when Godzilla came out. I didn't like anything that had to do with the humans. And what was the next one?
Then Godzilla gets a glove, Kong gets a glove, and Godzilla can run.
No, because then we went to King of the Monsters, right?
Yeah.
Right, that one was pretty good, and then it starts to fall apart after that.
Godzilla versus Kong, that's a good one.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh, yeah, that was the fun one where they fight Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
But you can see where they tag team wrestle him that it's starting to come undone because they can only go in one direction after that, which they did. So That is what I remember. Did I pass your test, Brian? Whatever it was?
I actually wasn't looking for anything. But now let's listen to some clips of what Pete thought of the Monsterverse back on March 27th, 2024.
But we are talking about the Godzilla Legendary franchise. Is that what I watched a bunch of?
Monsterverse.
Monsterverse. But the Godzilla specific Monsterverse, right? That's the new Legendary ones.
What
and by
other-
new, I don't know. There's the Toho Studios.
Those aren't Monsterverse.
Right. What else? I thought Monsterverse was Universal Monsters. Those are also Monsterverse.
It seems to me as if you know that they're called Universal Monsters and not the Monsterverse.
What about the Dark Monsters with Russell Crowe, where he was Dr. Hyde?
You know that's the Dark
And
Universe.
Mr. Dark Universe. There's a lot of universes out there.
Well,
Wait a
one of
minute.
those doesn't even exist.
What does the U stand for in the MCU?
Unsustainable.
Well, pretty much.
So I wrote down the names of the characters that I remembered from the movies.
Shirazawa.
Serizawa
That's the only
is
one I know.
But he's Ishiro
11.
Serizawa instead of Daisuke Serizawa.
Is that his son?
No.
His grandson.
No, the movie series tells you stuff happened in 1954, but it's not the stuff that happened in the original Godzilla.
You know what? At first, I tried to pay attention to it, and then I just gave up because who cares?
There's no original Serizawa with an oxygen destroyer. They just atomic blast this monster. And it's like, well, that's not going to help.
No.
So I have the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Walter White in the first one. Mm-hmm. Samuel L. Jackson, Captain Marvel, and Michael Fassbender as played by Tom Hiddleston in Kong Skull Island. I can't unsee it. They
Yep.
clearly wanted Michael Fassbender.
It's very clear. You've pointed this out to me, and now I can't unsee it either.
The third one is 11, Vera Farmiga, and Friday Night Lights. And then 11 comes back with Hot Skarsgård, Rebecca Hall, and Brian Tyree Henry. Rodan has big Starscream energy. And you know I love Starscream from Transformers. He has total Starscream energy.
He 100%
He
does.
shows up and he's like, I'm going to take this over. And then anybody gives him any kind of a struggle. And he's like, I will do your bidding, I suppose.
He immediately rolls over.
But he's a survivor.
Yep. He doesn't. I don't know if it showed it in the movie, but I have this sense that much like Starscream, he's going to do the exact opposite of whatever he's told to do.
Yeah.
By his very nature. Rodan's going to wake up and go, what do I do? What mischief do I make today?
In the series of 4 movies, he might have more complexity to him than all of the human characters combined.
Oh, yeah.
He's certainly more interesting. He has a better arc and a more interesting arc.
Rodan we're talking about
Rodan,
still? Okay,
yes,
Rodan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll buy that. What's his arc, though? He wakes up.
His arc is survival. He will survive.
Well, that's what I like too. That's what I like about the Godzilla, the straight line through a plot.
I also wrote down here, it says Rodan is a bitch. That's his arc, and he's amazing at it. He immediately cowers to whoever is a threat to him. And I've never seen that done so deliberately twice.
That's so true.
He just flips sides, and he's like, oh,
The
shit.
second something goes like just mild. Oh no, the clouds are covering the sun. Better trade sides.
If Starscream was ever captured by the Autobots, he would be, dressing like a car and doing whatever Optimus Prime told him to do within day one.
And then by day
And then
two,
trying to usurp him.
day 2, he would attempt to usurp him. And the first contact with the Decepticons, he would go back to working for Megatron again.
100%.
There was armies that were thanked for being in these Godzilla movies. There's
Well,
big,
as all of these movies kind of are, they're very pro-military,
as always.
which is the opposite of the point of Godzilla.
Yeah, you're right.
But these American ones, they cannot help themselves.
That is the big difference. It's the very much the military is bad in both the Japanese ones, the 1950s one, and this Godzilla minus one. Then you get the American one, and as you said, it's go army.
There's nothing funnier to me, maybe, that when they're like, we're relaunching Godzilla, and the main star is a Marine, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, the hero is the military. That does not work for me.
That's true. It is, but you know what? It is a completely different franchise. You
It is.
have to divorce your mind anyway, from the two. They're both fun. Honestly, I really
I have to
enjoy
divorce
these.
myself. Well, I'm taking half,
Which half? I take the Godzilla half.
the lower half.
That's the fish half. I'm doing mermaid math now. Credits were over 10 minutes. 10 minutes of credit. There was assistants, sub-assistants. Like it got.
Was there Best Boys?
There were no Best Boys. I mean, there were hundreds of Best Boys, but not just a Best Boy.
Yeah.
Here, in fact, it was really disappointing. There's not a lot happening in the credit for. I know everyone's waiting for the credit reports. The credit report.
The credit check.
The credit check. A listing of names. There's seniors, juniors, assistant, key assistants, foremans, sub-foremans, the greensman.
Red foremans.
The red foreman. The greens foreman. Very interesting.
There's a greens foreman and a red foreman.
Well, there is.
He wrote a letter supporting a sexual assaulter.
Oh no, that was that one curly kid from that show, that 70s show.
Yep.
What the hell was his name?
I don't know, but he actually is in jail.
That's a good thing.
We got one.
Didn't he have a brother?
To quote Annie Potts in Ghostbusters, we got one. The Greensmen sounds like a band from the 60s that just like their boat sank trying to get over from Britain to America.
It does kind of sound like that.
It's like we got a triple bill, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Greensmen. Oh, that ship sank.
No, it's like the plane with the Big Bopper and La Bamba.
And Buddy Holly. You left out the most famous one of the three. You struggled for the name of the one who was the most famous.
Well, to be fair, I only really know him from that Gary Busey movie because I like Gary Busey.
Yeah, that plane had Gary Busey and Lou Diamond Phillips and someone who never got their own movie because it wasn't that interesting, I guess.
Oh, the Big Bopper.
You know, Waylon Jennings is supposed to be on that plane, but he lost the coin toss.
I did know. You know how I know that?
Because it's like a fact everyone has to know, even though who cares? And Waylon Jennings has been dead for 12 years.
No, I didn't even know he was dead. In fact, I'm not sure he was alive.
Update.
It has been half of an episode, and you haven't told me who's been dead lately.
The problem that all the movies we did to prepare for this episode, they're all so new. Everyone's still just walking around out there.
That's a shame for you. I'm heartbroken.
So you do your credit checks and I do mine.
I see that.
And they're all still walking around out there.
All of the monsters who show up at the end,
And Bao.
And Bao is so awesome. At that point, Sam said, I would follow Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I agreed with him. And I think,
But again, who was the first one to do it? Fucking Rodan.
well, yeah, Rodan knows what's what. I'm becoming a fan. You're convincing me that
He's
Rodan,
such an interesting character.
he even looks like Starscream.
He has no pride.
Nope. No shame, no intelligence.
No, it's just no. He has a survival instinct, and guess who lives?
Yeah, that's an instinct, though. That's not conscious thought.
But Serizawa is a name that carries much more weight.
I'll agree with that 100%.
At least they made him noble and great too. But he literally is rooting for the opposite thing. It's the thing about how warped the movie gets in Americans' hands that it drives me insane.
So we've taken a symbol of all the things wrong with nuclear war and the atom bomb and having it dropped on a people, and we're saying now he's on our side. That's all good, right?
King
Remember?
of the Monsters literally makes the usage of atomic weaponry the answer to solving the problem
of atomic weaponry.
It's madness when you think about it for 2 seconds. It betrays everything the franchise is about.
Very American, though. You got to admit to that.
Yes.
That is quintessential USA all the way, baby.
Do you think that the end of this movie will be, and the reason that it's pink is because he's pregnant, and at the end of the movie,
King Kong is the dad and he's on Maury Povich to find
it
out?
probably would reproduce asexually because I don't see a dong hanging out
Of what?
of any of the Godzilla monsters.
I don't think lizards keep their dongs on the outside.
Would you? Well,
Would.
it has to come out at some point, or else it's going to be pretty hard to impregnate somebody.
I don't know about that.
Do you think that this movie will end with King Kong's son and Godzilla's kid being friends?
Well, if they're not both the parents to whatever this kid is, yes, 100% they're going to be friends, and this is going to be...
Well, here's another thing. King Kong is a boy, and I don't see a dick down there either.
I was about to say, how do we know that he's a boy?
And I'm looking.
How do we know he's a boy, though? At no point does anyone... Oh, they do say he a lot.
I look all the time at these movies, and you rarely ever get something. That's what makes Zack Snyder's Watchmen so great, is that you look and it's like, there it is.
The big blue dong?
The big blue dong.
You want the big green dong? I see. Dong
I
war.
want the Ray Don Chong.
Ray Dawn Chung. I miss her. She was so big back in the day.
Season 2 of the Monarch show is just going to be Kong and Godzilla raising their children in their Brady Bunch-like household. And Alice.
All the different monsters can be the butcher.
Sam the Butcher?
Sam the Butcher can be one of the monsters.
Don't act like you don't know his name.
I didn't know his name.
Don't act like you're too good to know Sam the Butcher's name.
I didn't remember his name. But
He just came over to deliver some meat.
I like that 90s version.
It's great.
Something suddenly came up. I used to know the songs to that, and I would sing them.
Clowns never laughed before.
Beanstalks never grew. Ponies never ran before. And then there's the Think I'll Go for a Walk Outside song, which I still sing on sunny days because it's a good song to sing when you're walking.
We have to end this. Oh, we sounded so young back then.
Yeah, that was pretty much what I said.
It was exactly word for word what you said.
I told you that's going to happen. What do I rate that? Well, I'll let you know here. I know you're asking and you're waiting. I am going to rate that a Channing Tatum Gambit banana.
Ooh.
That's what I said.
I feel inclined to try to do an impression, but I've not been allowed to do them since my Kihei Kwan. which I want on the record. I was told by our Taiwanese friend from Amherst, Ken Barnes, that it couldn't be racist because he had no idea why I was doing an accent.
Well, being in the room with you while it happened, oof, it was rough.
I don't think we've seen the last of Kihei Kwan. I don't know when he's coming back, but he might come back someday.
All right. So
right.
where are we moving on to?
My favorite episodes we do are watch-alongs because you can't get lost in a watch-along. Because if you get lost, you just look at the screen and say what you see. We got through an entire Friday the 13th rewatch-along noticing the blue shirts' feet. We can get through anything.
Wasn't that the point of that movie? I remember that. I'm still curious if the blue shirts are a thing because it seemed thematically important.
It did. No, that's the most common episodes we do is the Friday the 13th watch-alongs, is we make our way haphazardly out of order through the Friday the 13th franchise.
Would it surprise you to know that I don't remember any of them or what order they are or who the characters are each time? I barely remember who it is that is in Friday the 13th. It's Jason, right?
Yeah, the reason we do them is because you don't have to remember any of that to enjoy the movies.
And you can take it at its own,
Yeah.
in its own little isolated bubble of solitude.
We've done 19 watch-alongs. That's almost 1/5 of our episodes. We first started off with Friday the 13th Part 2, which I know you don't remember.
Go back a sec.
Yep.
You know how when I say something and then I look at you for a reaction and you just stare at me going like, I'm not going to reward you. Every time you say something math, like 1/5, you look at me for some kind of reaction. I have nothing to give you. That's numbers. I don't understand them.
I apologize for looking at you when I pause to see if you want to say anything.
Keep your eyes down. Don't look at me. Eyes down. Look at the floor.
I'm not looking for a reaction. I'm looking to see if you wanted to jump in.
Every time you say numbers, my brain just shrivels up.
Friday the 13th Part 2,
Ugh.
followed by Friday the 13th Part 5, as one does naturally. An Evil Dead Rise watch-along, which, as I recall, also wasn't a plan. We just showed up that day and said, fuck it, put it on.
I haven't seen that movie since then.
The Monster Squad.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Gremlins 2.
Also good.
Halloween, 1978,
Holla.
which we do every Halloween. We do a Loomis or Myers.
Who's Lumen?
Who's Lumen? The Exorcist.
Kind of remember that.
Friday the 13th Part 6.
I almost made a joke about exercising with The Exorcist, but then I remembered that I have made that joke.
A Nightmare on Elm Street, which we only watched because we covered Wes Craven's New Nightmare in a regular episode, and you couldn't remember any of the understand any of the callbacks.
Now I don't remember either one.
No, if you remember, this was like 2 weeks later, and then we watched we did the watch along for Nightmare on Elm Street, and you couldn't remember what was being called back to know when we watched it in the first place. It's a waste of everyone's time. Friday the 13th Part 4. Scream 2022. Pete, do you remember the saga of our watch along for Scream 2022?
I 100% do not.
We recorded it a year before we put it out. 8 months.
Oh, that's right. And then updates kept happening.
Every time it was like, okay, let's throw that. We used to record. We don't do this anymore. We used to record watch alongs and leave them in the hopper because they didn't have to be relevant to what was happening in the real world. So if something happened and we had to miss a week, we could just pop on a watch along. So we sat on Scream 2022 so long that everything we talked about in it became irrelevant because everyone got fired. Everyone left the project. For Scream 7, we talk about Scream 7 a lot, and we couldn't, it became a fucking mess. And we reached a point where I was like, okay, let's just record an opening and put it out. And then within the week that we recorded the first opening, something else major changed. And I said, well, we can't put it out yet. We have to record another opening. So there's like 3 openings on the thing to get to a podcast episode that was meant to be evergreen that is no longer relevant.
Is that why we don't do that anymore?
That is why we don't do that anymore. Good call.
I'm smart. I pick up on things.
We did The Mummy.
When are we going to do the daddy?
We did Jaws. We did Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was the messiest one I think we've ever done.
Ugh, it's gross, too.
Also not a horror movie.
Made me uncomfortable. It was pretty terrifying. That is a fucking pedophile stalking an underage youth.
Speaking of not a horror movie, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home.
All the whales were dead, Brian. You don't care about the environment now? You're that guy?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep, it's all right.
Halloween 2.
0.0.
Sleepaway Camp, which was our first cross-continental watch-along as we watched it with Ken in Taiwan and his commercials.
That's technology for you, man.
And Friday the 13th Part 3 in their blue shirts.
Are they the opposite of the Star Trek red shirts? What is their deal?
No, they all died too, so they're the same.
But they died because they took the shirt off, right?
Also both Paramount. So I think that they had red shirts and blue shirts. They handed the red to the Star Trek. They handed the blue to the Friday the 13th and said, go make your movies.
Makes sense to me.
Actually makes a lot of sense.
And a lot of dollars. Those were popular franchises.
Now, as you can imagine, pulling clips from a watch-along is a little more difficult because some of it's screen specific. But I managed. Nevertheless, I persisted.
And no one asked, but here we are.
So we're going to go back to April 10th, 2024 for the watch-along of Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter.
Dun dun.
This is where Pete invented the term bottom bunk to mean anal sex and cracked a code in slasher lore that I never thought about before. The Jason loophole.
I don't remember any of these things.
Well, you're about to hear clips, and then we'll come back and you can tell us everything about what you just heard. Welcome back to the Scare Value Podcast. Pete, today we're doing a watch-along.
Take 2.
You don't have to reveal the curtain.
The curtain?
We're going to watch Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, because it is the 40th anniversary of this Corey Feldman classic.
I like Corey Feldman, so I'm in.
And the final girl in 4 is Corey Feldman.
Is it?
His sister's alive, but she's not as interesting
Is that
as
the
Corey Feldman.
Ghostbusters ambulance?
No, that is probably Roy the paramedic before he... That's what I said. I told you it was an ambulance.
Yeah, that's an ambulance.
But you told me last in the Ghostbusters one that it wasn't an ambulance.
Yeah, it was a hearse in the Ghostbusters one.
And I said, I think that's what ambulances were like in 1984. And now I have proof because this is 1984.
No, this is out in the country, right?
Who knew that out in the country?
Why is that
twice?
song like that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was very high. I can't believe that the answer to my thing, the backup I needed, came from Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, the same year. Could you work at a morgue?
I don't see why not, but I don't like doing work, so probably no. I'd hide in one of those morgue drawers and scare somebody, 'cause it seems fun.
You'd get locked in and die there.
Yeah, I would. I'd accidentally get into the cremation machine and just that would be it.
You know, like he asked her, where you going? She goes, I'm going crazy. I kind of did a riff on that last episode.
Guess what?
You don't remember?
I don't remember. I like that you think I would remember. It must have been good because you're proud of it.
Nothing I stated indicated I thought you would remember it. Look who it is. Crispin Glover, 1 year before he plays Marty McFly's father.
Yeah.
And he's way too good for this movie.
He was a real actor back then, right? Or no?
No, he's in Friday the 13th Part 4, so no. But you could tell that he's makes the most interesting choices of any actor in this series has ever made.
He is weird.
He is a weird guy.
Yeah, he's a weird guy in like real life, right?
Yes, very weird.
Okay.
But a good actor.
I'm trying to think who else is weird but a good actor.
Al Yankovic. This is a scene I remember from when I first saw the movie as a child.
Corey Feldman in bed? Weirdo.
Yeah. But he can see in next door.
You know what? This was either in a lot of movies back then, or I remember this scene very well too. I didn't know it was this movie. Oh, Corey Feldman's mad.
No, he's excited.
Oh, is he?
He's titillated.
Oh,
Oh no, the mom just saw. Uh-oh, she's getting
It'd be funny
titillated.
if she just like unzipped right there.
This is terrible. Oh man. Oh,
Ooh.
girl butts. That's what we immediately cut to. This
1984.
No,
There are
it's fine.
certain subtleties that these movies that try to evoke 80s slash movies never get right, and that's one of them.
Well, I mean,
You don't have to dress it up. We're just going to show you those butts.
right, because it would be so weird to watch it. Movies have just changed the way it's done.
I know, but there's movies that specifically try to be this.
Right.
And like you're missing it.
Yeah, because you wouldn't do that now.
No.
That's what that's what these movies did.
That's why they hold up so well.
Oh, Crispin Glover.
I guess, they might fail the Bechdel test the one way, but all these two guys ever talk about is sex with girls, so maybe it's just a bad rating.
Well, what else are they supposed to talk about?
I don't know, Pete. We've never had a discussion like that ever in the 30 years I've known you.
Well, we don't live in a movie world. Is this the Doublemint twins?
No, but that's definitely what they're going for.
The Doublemint was the gum.
Yes, and it was right then in the 80s, so they had to have their own twins.
Yes, and it was every commercial. There was a song too, but I can't remember it.
The funny thing about these twins is that one of them's trying to do like a pretty decent American accent because they're British, and the other one can't do it. So they don't sound at all. They sound like they're from two different places.
It's like the Patty Duke show starring Patty Duke. One of them, they were identical cousins, you see.
I know a hot dog makes her lose control.
Yes, that's right. You know of these people, but one of them was British and one of them wasn't. They were American. So these are the Patty Duke twins?
I know the father has some explaining to do that I feel like was never questioned.
I don't know if they brought those things up back then.
No. Honey, do you remember that trip you took to England about 18 years ago?
Oh, yes, for business. I was there 9 months.
See, this is the lake. So there actually is a bit of a lake here, unlike the third one. But it's still, this is pretty much all the lake we're going to get.
And it's somewhere, is that one of the Doublemint twins who's swimming in the lake?
Yes.
All right, is she going to make it?
No.
Is it going to be like a twin death where they both die, or is it going to be one twin gets killed and the other one finds her?
No, but what should have happened is that one of them died and the other one felt it. And that doesn't happen either. They really missed a
Oh,
lot
man.
of opportunities with the twins.
Is this their house or are they on vacation?
This is where they live, I believe.
All right.
Maybe they're on a summer vacation. Maybe they're lots of money. I don't know.
Is there a dad here?
Where do you think they're hiding?
I don't know. Wait, where did the twins come from? Were they part of the group?
One came from England, as far as I could tell.
Who's that guy?
That's Paul.
Why is he taking his clothes off in the woods? Is that just what happens? You go in the woods and strip?
Well, yeah, he's going to get in the water, but he's going to leave his shorts on.
What?
Which if he finds his naked girlfriend out there, it doesn't feel like these shorts in particular are going to leave a lot of room for what might happen. I feel like it's going to be a little painful if they.
It's like a little chastity belt for guys.
Although, given how cold it is, he's not doing as good of a job hiding it. I don't think that he's going to have a problem.
Is he pretend? What is?
This is
he's
the funny part.
sneaking up.
He's sneaking up on her, but he's freezing to death.
Yep, you can see that he's
You can
cold.
see how cold he is, and he's like, I
not
gotta get in
nearly
this.
so good an
Oh,
actor as she
no.
was.
He must have been like, motherfucker,
Look at
I
his
gotta get
face.
this one. I know it's terrible.
Oh, this is rough to watch. So I'm really impressed with her, whatever her name was. Topless girl who scared me when she swam under that dock.
Yes.
Is he just shouting? 'Cause it looks like he's just screaming.
All I could think in my head now was Pika boobs.
Terrified the shit out of me. In the bottom bunk tonight, is that code for anal? What is this? That's the good girl. Is that why she gets killed?
Yep.
She allows the no hole. I don't know these movies.
I wonder if that's a loophole for Jason the same way it's a loophole for God.
Well, Jason and God share a lot of similarities.
Is the actual problem that all of these characters have had for 30, 40 years 45
Missionary.
years, is that they're doing it in the wrong place.
I don't know. Is it ever a blowjob or anything? I don't know how these movies
I don't think
work.
so, which is weird because you could have some real good slasher kill.
Oh, yeah. Holy cow. You sure could.
Well, he died the way he wanted to go.
I hope that in the
With the
credits.
strangest boner.
Did she ever actually show her boobs or just like in the shower with
think
the frosted glass
Yeah.
and now she just put a towel on? What is she, too good for that? She's too good like everyone else in this movie?
Hey, broad, take your tits out. It's 84.
Where do you think you are?
I'll throw you in that cold lake with that other chick.
No, those were the scary
I'll
breasts.
meet you in the bottom bunk.
Oh, it's too late, you fool.
It
You
is
should have
too
done
late.
that first.
It is too late. Now you remember. Memory refreshed.
I am a genius, Brian. I don't know how. How I don't remember the genius that spills forth from my ample brain.
Do you remember the time you invented the phrase, "It's you can smell the genius coming off of her"?
Nope.
You'll hear that in the 1986 clips.
Is that about my Annie bracket?
No, it was about Nan
Who the hell is
and
Nan?
April Fool's Day.
All
A
right.
wrinkly brain. We did a lot of drugs in the 80s.
There's, wrinkly brains are hot. The more wrinkly, you're like, yeah.
Well, our final type of episode is the annual episode, where we do the Scare Value Awards, Nick Cage's birthday, the Foreign Correspondence Awards, our preview episodes that we do for spooky season, and now we started doing them in the summer, our Giving Thanks episodes, our top 10 movies we do with Ken, where we just come up with a different topic every year and do a top 10 of them, and then you just, I don't know, it's like watching a monkey hump a football, trying to figure out how to do a list. Our After Thanksgiving Mashed Potato Mashup, which is the one I enjoy, Christmas Spectaculars, so some fun stuff.
All right.
They're ones that just keep us on track. It's like, it's Christmas, you should do something for Christmas. It's Thanksgiving, we gave up a thing for Thanksgiving. Halloween, we do a Halloween watch along, but that's in the watch along section. But there's things that we try to do. Now, one thing we won't do is we're not going to continue the Leprechaun series for St. Patrick's Day because they're unwatchable from the point we watched on. And we're not going to do Valentine's movies because we might do one this year, but not forever because Valentine was bad and there's not that many options.
I thought you were going to make me start watching romantic comedies again.
No, but I would stay tuned for the future episodes. There might be something.
Oh, no.
In
Is
that
it French
coming up.
Kiss starring Kevin Kline and Meg Ryan?
No, it's a movie people would care about. Sorry, man. So these are, I would say 19 of them. So another one where it's like one of every 5 episodes is almost one of every 5 is an episode where it's like, well, it's time to do this episode.
Okay.
Some of
I
it
get-
year end stuff. Year end is when you get most of them.
It's weird. It does feel like something needs to be done at the end of a year to mark something.
We do the top 10 of the year. We do the Scare Value Awards. We do the Foreign Correspondence Awards. We do Nick Cage's birthday. We do Christmas. They all come like in the same 6 to 7 weeks every year. We jam in 5 or 6 of those.
We all do and they come. We all do them and they come. You see what I'm going for here? Those are your words, man. I just do the do.
Here's clips from our latest annual episode tradition we started, the Giving Thanks episode for Sam Neill.
That was recent. I remember that one.
It was November 27th, 2024. Our Thanksgiving episode we're going to do next year. I don't know who we're going to do. You want to do Bruce Campbell? I think that's ridiculous.
I mean, we did meet the guy.
We did. We also talked about his movies already.
But you know what? I also met William Fichtner.
I can't think of 3 William Fichtner horror movies.
No, I'm just listing people I've met.
My idea was, we'll do the Justin Long week at some point, Giving Thanks episode, because
Yeah, I
that was one
gotcha.
of the ones we started on. Maybe to mix it up a little bit, we'll do an actress next. I want to do the Toni Collette episode to make you watch Hereditary.
You know,
And The Sixth Sense is actually good, and I think you'll be surprised that it's good,
okay, I would be surprised.
because I revisited it for 25th anniversary, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, because that was the one you had waited so long to see it that the ending, once you have a twist, it's
I'd seen it, though. I knew the twist before I saw it, but I'd seen it. And
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of ruined by knowing the twist, and then watching
Right.
it
20 years later.
I loved it. It was actually a really great movie. So that's 2 out of the 3 movies. We cover 3 movies for the
fine.
actor, and I think that could be a good one.
Okay.
Because who doesn't want to feel great on Thanksgiving, watching movies like The Sixth Sense and Hereditary? They're family movies.
It's about families getting smaller.
Both movies are about that. And then maybe we could watch Krampus or something, because she's in Krampus. And that's a fun holiday movie.
That Adam Scott's Krampus?
Maybe we should save that for a Christmas movie someday. Because 2 out of the 3 of us usually pick Christmas movies.
Well, we'll find out. There's Krampus festivals all over. Well, mostly in wherever Krampus is from.
I wish there was Crampton festivals.
We did, ooh. That would be pretty cool. There probably are.
I mean, we could start that tradition. We could do that for a Thanksgiving episode too.
Yeah.
Barbara Crampton week. She's got plenty of them. We could do Jacob's Wife.
Jacob's Wife.
Yeah, that's a great movie she made not that long ago.
Okay.
Vampire movie.
We could do Combs too. Did you ever see The
Jeffrey Combs,
Frighteners?
do Jeffrey Combs. I don't think I did.
He's in that one. I like it. I watch it a lot. Well, not a lot. I haven't seen it in like 20 years.
Well, that's a lot for you. Now let's listen to some clips from this past Thanksgiving where we talk about Sam Neill. And where are you today on Possession? Because by the end of the episode you hated it. A couple episodes later you loved it. Where are you? Where are you here on the 100th episode on Possession?
I love that movie.
It's great.
And I didn't bring it up in the clips.
So we'll find out in a second.
Oh, I know we didn't bring it up because it's been bugging me, but I think I mentioned it to you afterwards. But just how Lovecraftian the end of Possession becomes with him the doppelganger just commanding people, and just it's creepy. It's creepy as shit, and you really feel like it's the end of times, and something is here now that shouldn't be.
One of the best endings I've ever seen in a movie because it haunts you forever.
Right. That's what it. I was very angry because I got confused. It was trying to be too complex at me the way you explain things. But having sat and mellowed it back out in my smooth brain, everything's smooth now, and I get it, and I love it.
I wish that every couple of years you could discover something like Possession, where a movie from 1981 was just like blowing your mind in 2024.
That's so crazy that it was just a 90-minute panned version, and that's all it was. And now I'm so excited to be in on this early on. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting and fun, and I want to share it with people.
That's what I say too. And I really wish, I think I said it in the episode, probably not in this clip. I really wish I had known I could watch the real version of it 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and live with this my whole life, because I would have put 30 years of pretty deep thought into it. Because I haven't, since I first watched the movie about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it's never left my mind.
I'm still not sure what I watched, but I want to watch it again.
Agreed. So let's listen to some clips of us watching Possession and Event Horizon and In the Mouth of Madness. So thank you, Sam Neill. Pete, it's Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Yay!
So we're going to do something that we wanted to do for a while.
What's that?
Fuck on this table.
No, it's relatively recent for me.
We wanted to do an episode where we talked about one of our favorite actors and his great horror performances.
Bruce Campbell.
We could do that one of these years because we're going to turn this into an annual thing.
Ooh.
So I think that what we'll do is, because last Thanksgiving we covered Thanksgiving.
Yes, that makes sense. That's logical. I'm with you.
Since Thanksgiving 2's not out, we were up Schitt's Creek on this one.
That is tough. Isn't there one about a killer turkey?
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
I've never seen that one.
Me neither. That makes it harder to do. And there's Blood Rage, but I was like, then we're completely out, so we're just going to leave that in the past, even though I love it. Even though I love it. What we're going to do is every Thanksgiving, we'll pick an actor or actress, and we'll do this kind of a podcast episode where we'll give thanks for their awesome horror performances. So
okay.
This first one is the one you wanted to do for a while.
I'm going back to Bruce Campbell again here.
Sam Neill.
Ooh, I do like Sam Neill. I don't know why I'm surprised. I watched all the movies.
I was going to say. I got nervous again.
No, I watched all of them. Here's the problem. I watched them a month ago. Mm-hmm. And if you recall, after the 3 movies we watched were, oh shit, Jurassic Park's not one of them.
No, because I'm sure we'll do something with Jurassic Park on its own one day.
Oh, it was in the Mouth of Madness.
1994 is In the Mouth of Madness.
Solid. We watched Event Horizon.
1998.
And Horizon? 98 or 99? Probably 97.
Could have been any of those. And
Possession.
1981's Possession.
1981's. I had never seen it before, and I wanted to watch it twice. That's why I didn't watch Godzilla when you tried to make me watch that horrible Godzilla in 98. I never did watch Possession twice.
No,
I don't remember. I don't remember these movies so well anymore because I watched them a month ago.
Well, that's not good.
I got notes. I brought my notes.
All right. Well, I have notes too. For example, did you know that Sam Neill was born in New Zealand on September 14th, 1947?
I did not know that.
Did you know that he's a vintner?
He's a Kiwi. What's a vintner?
he owns Two Paddocks Winery. It means he owns a vineyard.
Isn't that a vintner?
Vintner.
I don't know. I'm looking at you.
It's got an N before and after the T, so it's vintner.
Interesting.
Yes. I can't. Yeah, you read a lot more than me, but you don't mean you read it correctly.
That's true. I once said trapezing when I meant traipsing. Because I only ever read it before.
I think trapezing kind of works. It depends how you're doing it.
Yeah, how fanciful you want to traipse.
Are you strolling or are you like doing some Cirque du Soleil shit while you're doing it?
All right, I get you. I dig it. I like it.
We're going to make that an official word. We have that power. He made his film debut in 1975's Landfall.
What was that about?
I don't know.
Alrighty.
His breakout roles in 1977's Sleeping Dogs.
What's that about?
I don't know. His first horror role was in 1981's Omen 3, The Final Conflict.
I bet you that one's about a conflict of some sort.
The final one. And then just a few months later, he would star in a movie we will discuss today called Possession.
That was the one I had not seen.
No.
All right, so how do you want to approach this?
I want to do it backwards.
What's backwards?
But I would start with Event Horizon, then do In the Mouth of Madness, and then go back to Possession because I had seen Possession before, and I love it, and I'm like I constantly think about it, and one of the reasons I was going to say trepidatious and try to turn it into trapezing, and I couldn't do it. I was a little trepidatious about doing it in this format because I think it's far more interesting to discuss than the other two.
I would agree. The other two are solid horror films.
Yes, they're not movies that are fucking weird.
Yeah, they're not ones you really need to think too hard about, like puzzling what you just watched. But
I
they're
think there's
fun.
a little of that in the mouth of madness. In the so it's
Yeah,
called.
in the mouth of because I'm thinking of At the Mountains of Madness.
I know. Well, that's what it's taken from.
Yeah, and that's Lovecraft inspired.
Well,
so.
we're gonna do that one second. Let's get to Event Horizon because I think
right.
there's clearly the least to say about Event Horizon. They're on the ship Lewis and Clark, and the captain is Lawrence Fishburne, Captain Miller.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just taking in the names that you're telling
And
me.
they got to go and check out the ship, and they bring Sam Neill with them, and they find out that it has all kinds of advanced technology, and where it disappeared to apparently was hell.
Yeah. But when they get aboard the ship, there's bodies
Yes,
and
they're getting
all sorts of oddities.
Haunted by their deepest fears and memories and regrets.
And then it turns out that Sam Neill's the bad guy. Why was he the bad guy? Because his wife killed herself and then he was sad about it?
So let me tell you the problem with Event Horizon.
All right. What's the problem with Event Horizon?
The problem is that it comes from the place where, and this is why I liked it, because I like the Resident Evil movies that this guy made too, but they all come from the same place. Does it have to narratively hold together? Or is it just cool if he says, I am home, and disappears into the darkness? There's no good build to that moment, but that moment is great. And then he gets to be the bad guy. Does it make any sense? No, of course not.
No.
Doesn't
it didn't.
narratively hold up at all. But it was cool. And Lawrence Fishburne's a good hero, so you got good things against each other.
Right. And the supporting cast is really fun.
There's a lot of sci-fi gobbledygook talk about gravity drives and just stuff. Who could possibly care? What's cool is a sentient ship returned from hell. That's cool.
Well, it wasn't sentient until it
Yes.
went to hell. It
Yeah.
was a normal ship.
That's cool. And, they created a black hole in the core to travel to any space and time. That's cool. Do I understand any of it? No, I don't need to.
You don't need to.
Don't spend as much time explaining it as you did, because I'm never going to care.
You don't need to know where bad guys come from all the time. You can just have a monster.
It's basically they're going to walk around a ghost ship. Cool. It's a fun movie that you can't think about too hard because it's just going to take you to another cool scene. So let's just have fun with the cool scene.
Yeah. I've never thought about that movie too hard.
No.
I haven't thought about
They
most
didn't
movies too hard.
But I that moment where Lawrence Fishburne's like, we have to get home, and he just goes, I am home. It's the coolest fucking Sam Neill moment in that movie. And I've thought about that since 97 because it's just like, it's so good. And then when I watched it again now, I was like, oh, they didn't build up to this well at all. But I still was like, yeah, Sam Neill.
Yep. It was Sam Neill. That's why we're doing this episode.
Yep.
Thank you, Sam Neill.
Thank you, Sam Neill. Give thanks to Sam Neill.
All right. Now what are we at?
Well, Pete, let me ask you a question. Do you read Sutter Kane? Or as they say in the movie, do you read Sutter Kane? Because they all talk like they're an ADR. When the possessed all talk with ADR. when his publicist, it was his publicist, right? Or his editor, that was the person that attacks at the beginning. He looks just like a normal guy, and then when he talks, that's how he sounds. Do you read Sutter Kane?
I don't remember that.
It's hilarious. Sam Neill plays John Trent, an insurance investigator tasked with finding the missing Sutter Kane.
And he's a fraud expert. I mean, he catches he knows all the tricks. He's a smart guy.
Yes. And he finds him in Hobbs End, his fictional town that they somehow get transported to while driving down the road.
Him and an assistant editor or something.
Publicist, I think.
Something like that.
Because he thinks it's a publicity stunt. And he later finds out, when I like this in the movie, because this is a sign of a good script, she's like, it was a publicity stunt, but this wasn't it. And I like that it lets his character be smart while also being wrong. Because he sees right through it from the beginning, and then shit goes sideways.
Crazy sideways. Fourth wall bending, all wall bending.
It throws everything at it, and I think that Carpenter does it perfectly. Okay, let me read you a note that I made.
Okay.
I'm watching it for the first time in maybe a year. I like this movie, so I revisit it often enough. And as I watch Mrs. Pickman in monster form axing her husband apart and Styles getting possessed by tentacles, I think, this movie is good as fuck. That was my note I wrote on the movie. Then we're going to 1981, Possession. A movie unlike any movie I've ever seen before.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to think how I could explain this to my wife.
That's one of the best things about the movie, is that it's a difficult movie to just...
I don't even know what it's about.
It's about the dissolution of a marriage.
Yeah, I know that's what it's not even, geez, I don't know. I mean,
it's about two of the most interesting lead performances I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, I know words. There were not a lot of people in this movie.
No, it's everything about the movie from the first frame feels weird.
I think it has a lot to do with the setting because it's Berlin during the Cold War, so the wall is there.
Yep.
And it's just this weird backdrop of being, I don't know, just this oppressive, watched state.
Yeah, so he plays Mark, and he's a spy who returns home from whatever assignment he's been on. And he finds his wife wants a divorce. And the first half of the movie is focused on that and the difficulties they're going through. And she's found another man, and he's also giving a fucking weird performance. Everybody's giving a weird performance. One of the first things that drew me to this movie was the way in which these characters talk to each other. Because I've never seen anything quite like it. And once you get onto the wavelength of being about two people who are no longer getting along, no longer want to be together, it makes a lot of sense. But they never look at each other. They're talking and they're basically answering each other's questions, but not always.
No,
it's so weird.
At one point,
but good weird.
Oh yeah. But it's because the movie is just so odd. I started to question the reality of things that were like, is one of them in a coma and they're talking because the conversations were so disjointed?
It's such an interesting way to show how far apart they've drifted because they can't get on the same conversation almost. They never, they're both looking past you.
Oh, that's what that was about?
And yeah, well,
figured it out.
Go back to it being in Berlin, a city that was once one place, who in 1981 was now divided against itself.
Would you look at that? I didn't catch that one either. And
when she moves into her own place, they can't shoot in East Berlin. They have to shoot in West Berlin. They just can't shoot there. But they move her literally so far as they can east, where you can see the wall. So they've made it as clear as possible what they're doing here, because this director is from Poland and grew up during World War II. So he has his own things to say about Europe in and post-war. And this movie turns into a World War III movie with doppelgangers and demons. You cannot see it coming. But all of those things, all the things that we'll get to and how just the many directions it takes, there is nothing more interesting or creepier than the performances of the two leads.
Absolutely.
It's captivating. Isabella Adjani, who I've never seen in anything else, gives maybe the best performance I've ever seen a human being give in a movie. When he slaps her and then she finally smiles at him, it's the creepiest thing. The last scene of the movie, a small child drowns himself in a bathtub, and it is not in the top 50 things that I think about when I think of this movie, which is, again, a movie for the first half that plays out fairly slowly and standardly. Despite their performances, the narrative is fairly standard for half the movie. So you get an hour of eclectic performances in a story that you can understand, and then it just becomes 10 different things at once, and I've never seen anything like it. And I think that's a massive positive.
Because we're left at the very end with the apocalypse
Yeah.
occurring or breaking out.
Like a shootout in the stairwell happens, and it's like, how did we get here?
That's right. There was he was a spy,
Yes.
and they were trying to bring him back into the organization.
How did we get here? And this is what I mean. And the shootout happens in the tall stairwell.
Yeah.
That's the moment every time where I think, how did we get here? Because it started with a guy who couldn't understand why his wife was being cold to him. And then there was 2 of each of them. And then she's fucking a demon.
Well, I think that's where I stopped. I didn't have to wonder how we got there. I'm like, well, she fucked a demon. All bets are off.
But there's no guns in this movie until there's a massive shootout at the end. It's the anti-Chekhov's gun.
It's the, it's the ramp up to the apocalypse, man. That's how it works.
It wasn't a ramp.
It's going to be ironic.
It just showed up. Oh, I hope that we get an ironic. I think I do well in an ironic apocalypse.
What a weird movie.
It's one of one. There's nothing else that it's its own genre of film.
True. I couldn't put it anywhere else.
Thank you to Sam Neill.
Thank you,
And
Sam Neill.
We'll see you next week for Pete's after Thanksgiving mashed potato mashup. I got nothing else to say. I think it said it all.
And I already, oh man, I have not been ranking anything. See, I cannot be in charge. I'm going to give everything before Sam Neill a blanket 8 bananas. No, we already did number 8. So
Well, you only know about 1 or 2 numbers. Oh, that's 2 extra for you.
2 bananas. 2 bananas high. And I'm going to give Sam Neill, gosh, I don't even know what to give. I'm going to give him the Chiquita banana headdress. That's what he gets for possession, but for all of it, for everything.
Well, Pete, that's going to about wrap it up for part 1 of the 100th episode.
Holy Jesus.
But there is one other kind of episode that I have not mentioned yet.
What?
You won't find them in the 100 episodes because, Pete, they're lost episodes.
Oh, no, there's only one.
There's 2.
There's 2 lost episodes. You say. I know there's one that will never, ever, ever see the light. This is fueled everything I do. That's why I'm in this basement every week, because I know what's there.
Well, there are 2 lost episodes.
What's the other? Ooh, I'm intrigued.
I asked you to pick something to do a watch along for that you were familiar with. You said, great, let's do Cabin in the Woods. Sat down, hit play on the movie. You said, haven't seen this in a while. And I was like, oh no. And we ran out of steam about 25 minutes into that episode.
Because I wanted to watch. And yeah, I still haven't seen it.
But then we came downstairs and decided, I know how to salvage this. We'll just put that 25 minutes out at the end of an episode we record on Cabin in the Woods. It still hasn't come out. It's still sitting in the drafts folder, even though I did edit it together. It's just not very good.
Okay, well then we got it. Jesus Christ. Why don't you just get rid of them? Why are they here?
But that's not the only lost episode, Pete.
Yeah, that was 2 of them. You already told me.
Well, what was the other one?
The I don't know what it was about, but I know that there was.
It was about nothing. That's why it's lost.
Was I in charge of this episode?
Well, yes, but you did what any good general would do who was unprepared, and you passed that off to Ken Barnes from Taiwan. Pete called me and said, we're going to record a podcast tomorrow. And I said, okay. I said, what on? He's like, I don't know, but Ken's coming on. I said, okay, we'll do something, figure it out. And then he called me back, or texted me back and said, Kitty's coming on too. And I said, okay, what's the topic? And you're like, I don't know. So I sat down in the basement, hooked everything up, waiting for Ken to call. Kitty looks at me and says, what are we talking about? And I was like, oh, we are in trouble. So you said, I know what we'll do. And you told Ken, you're hosting this episode.
That is not the way I recall things.
Yes.
I remember before the episode started, I was all set to go. Ken and I had talked. We knew what we were doing.
No, you did not.
And then you guys kept saying, blah, 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 something, what are we doing? And like, just relax and trust it. And you wouldn't. And you had said it would be funny if you made Ken the host when he came on. I said, that would be funny.
I did say that.
Yes.
But I said that weeks before to you in private, and then you made it happen in reality.
But that was sounding like a general order from you. Exactly, a general order from the general, and I was following it. And then afterwards, when I was talking with Ken, he reminded me that he had said, "Please don't make me host anything. I don't want to."
Greatest fear. And we made it come true. Now, it's not lost. It's not deleted from history because we didn't have a plan. We haven't had a plan for many of these episodes, some of which you've heard clips from. But it's deleted because what happened that day is it was like a fight between a man in Taiwan and two married people in this basement to see who could talk over each other the most. It is the most nonsensical headache of an episode to try to listen to, because I have heard it, because I had to make the call on it. This was the episode where Kitty texted me the next day and said, "I apologize for that episode, because sometimes when we get going with Ken, it just doesn't work out, because you just want to chatter. And then I get yelled at for like, why don't you talk more? And I'm like, how could I? Because I'm just trying to figure out how to make any sense of what the three of you are yelling at each other about. Like, just all three of you. It's you love to talk over Kitty. It's hilarious. You love to talk over Ken. You never want to talk when it's just you and me. So it's fascinating. This goes back to the you like having guests, I don't, which we'll get to in a minute. I like having guests, but your reason for liking guests is annoying to me. Anyway, Pete, I got a clip from the Lost episode. We're going to play the clip from the Lost episode.
Oh no! What is it?
It's a 5-minute clip of Ken going to a Taiwanese bathroom.
Oh no! No!
And a man. No. Listen, there's a many reasons this episode hasn't come out, but I'm very happy to close out the 100th episode, part 1, by the first time ever, an episode that was recorded, oh God, so long ago, I don't even know when it was recorded, summer of 2023, that's been referenced a lot of times. Here's the only 5 minutes you'll ever hear from it, because it's about the only 5 minutes I could find that was salvageable. The rest of it is just three people yelling over each other.
Hey, there was a lot of good Nick Cage stuff in that episode.
There was, actually. You made a whole list of every movie you saw, and I called your bullshit on it because you listed the Ant Bully 3 weeks after telling me you'd never heard of the Ant Bully, and I know you didn't watch it in those 3 weeks. Maybe you'll hear another clip one day from this too, because maybe I'll pull that back out. Anyway, Pete, here it is, the first time ever, the only audio that I'm going to allow to exist of an episode I never got a title to, because I think I called it, I think it sits in my folder as Ken Chaos.
You should label it Nick Cage, super cool.
Well, here is 5 minutes of Ken in a bathroom and a Taiwanese man wanting to show him his penis. Enjoy.
I have another game,
Do
it.
but I also have a story about Boogeyman.
Oh, you saw Boogeyman?
Oh, the Stephen King one?
Yeah, I saw Boogeyman.
All right.
I know Brian saw Boogeyman as well. He didn't enjoy it as much as I did, but
Give it
I
2.5.
thought it was decent. It wasn't great, but it was good. It's a good.
You give it a
it's
3?
good movie. I'd give it between a 2.5 and a 3. I'm kind of one of those 1 out of 10 guys. I'd go a little like a 2.75 or something.
All right.
But I gotta say, before I was in the movie, I had to go to the bathroom because I often do that, and I went to the bathroom.
Sounds normal.
And
How often?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was looking in the mirror, and this guy comes up behind me, and he's got his dick in his hand, and he's walking up to the sink. He starts splashing water on his penis,
What?
and he's trying to make eye contact with me through the mirrors, but I'm just pretending I don't see his penis. Yeah.
Is
and
this
then-
a true story?
Is this
This
a
is a true
normal
story.
thing? Like, is this?
That's the first time it's ever happened to me at this movie theater.
Ken, I gotta ask, is there a second movie theater you can go to? Because you don't have a lot of luck in this one.
This one's very local, so it's quite convenient.
He said it was the first
And
time
then-
it happened at that theater, though.
Well, it happened to me at a bar once. This guy dragged me into tried to drag me into a stall, but that's a totally different story.
Was it Pete?
No, it wasn't Pete. Different story. But so, anyways, I go back to my seat, and then my wife's gone. Kim's gone, and I'm like, oh, maybe she went to the bathroom. I hope she doesn't.
She's
run
out there
into
drying
guy,
off that penis.
No, of course not. That'd be horrible. And and then the guy next to me gets up and he's like gotta go, you know, and he falls on me, and then I'm like, hey. He's like, hey, how's it going? And he's wearing like one of those leather daddy hats, and he's not wearing pants. And he's like,
Are you
He's
in
like,
the
"Is it
wrong?
good? Is it good?"
Was this another? You know,
I went to the wrong theater.
Yeah.
So I ran out of the theater, and the movie's called 6P Fun Party. And I'm like, oh man.
Wait, I need to. Where'd your wife go?
yeah. What happened to Kim?
Is she okay?
She was in Boogeyman.
Oh.
She was enjoying the show.
Okay.
And I went back over there, and she goes, "What happened?" I go, there's a guy with his dick out in the, bathroom." And she goes, "Oh yeah." No, the thing about the guy in the bathroom is true. The 6B thing I made up.
Do you think that affected your rating for the movie?
No. Maybe.
Did that guy? He didn't talk to you, and you didn't make eye contact, right?
Nah, it's so gross. It was like 10 seconds of like, "Hey, look at my dick. Hey, look at my dick," and me just staring in the mirror, going like, "I'm not looking at your dick, dude."
You give the
Right.
movie 2.75. What do you rate the dick?
I kept, it was like looking at like a toad, from above. It's like you can't really tell.
You didn't want to look. I get it.
And it was soft. It was soft.
Well,
That always distorts the shape and
I
makes
mean, if it was hard, that would be even more disturbing.
Well, that would be like
But we'd get a
karate
better
chopping
rating on
time.
I think he wanted
Yeah.
you to ask him and why he was doing that.
Oh, he wanted me to do more than that, I'm sure.
If it ever happens again, just turn to him and be like, "Been there," and then walk out.
I hope it never happens again.
I always bring coffee. That's the thing. I had a cup of coffee with me, real hot too.
You
Like,
should
man,
have.
maybe next time.
Why?
I
Why
just
is-
didn't think about it. I was just like, don't look at that dick.
What does coffee have to do with people pulling out their genitalia?
On him to
I
teach
would have
him a
poured it on
lesson.
his dick.
Yeah.
It's his
Come on,
excuse for having to continually go to the bathroom to check out these dicks. There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, there is something wrong with that.
But-
They should be at the urinals. They
You know,
shouldn't be.
Your times
Making
at
their
the
way towards
movies
the thing.
are way more exciting than any time I go to the movie theater.
Let's talk this through though. For some reason that we don't know, he needed to put water on his dick. Where do you suggest he does that? Like, I don't know.
I suggest.
He's
I
got
have
to
a
get to
good
the sink. He's in
suggestion.
the men's room.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand his predicament.
Because I don't know
Somehow
why he needs
got
the water
something
on his dick.
Well, like maybe he
So-
had touched his dick and he had something on his hands that was spicy.
Like Ebola or something.
Maybe.
I don't know what he has to get off there. Like, what's burning his...
I don't know. So
But
Pete
what-
touched himself once after he had tiger balm on his hands, and that he almost died.
I think we're giving this guy way too much credit.
Yep, it's as bad as I remember.
I put my fingers in my ears and I hum to myself. I am not going to listen to that unless it's, I'm not even going to listen to the Nick Cage stuff. That belongs gone. That is my reason for this podcast, Brian. I am rededicated now.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for week one. I guess so, because next week we'll have part 2.
Episode 101.
So enjoy the week. I don't know what I was saying there. I don't know what I was going for there.
Don't die. Don't say anyone's name.
No, because then I have to reference you on the podcast.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we'll see you for part 2. See you for episode 101. Episode 100, part 2.
This is going to be perfect.